Do-do-do-do. We're here at the Mesa Verde National Park looking at the Mesa Verde cliff dwellings. You might be looking at the Mesa Verde cliff dwellings and think, oh, that's a cute little sculpture cut into a rock. And when you say this, I would scoff. Because you are a fool. See here? These are people, real people. So that just shows how big this actually looks. Because through the pictures, it almost looks like a little model created. So, I don't know. This helps justify it with the people looking so small compared to it. And so these dwellings are real houses that the ancestral Pueblan people built in 1000 to 1100 CE, but they occupied the area from 450 to 1300 CE. The dwellings consist of more than 600 buildings in the side of a cliff used for residential, storage, and ritual purposes. While they were built all over the U.S., the ones we are looking at today are located in the Mesa Verde National Park in Colorado. The smart people of the ancestral Pueblos were located in the middle of a cliff, as you can see here. And so they needed a way to get up, and they used retractable ladders, which is pretty cool. And these structures were made of sandstone, mortar, and plaster, and are still around today, and can be visited because they're very popular tourist attractions now. So, the dwellings were like adjoined rooms forming large buildings, with the biggest being the Cliff Palace containing 150 rooms. Due to it being carved into a cliff, it was protected from the elements, allowing it to survive so long. Each building ranged from 1 story up to 4, and the natural stone ceilings, which I couldn't find a picture of, were made of mud, stone, and wood beams, and were relatively new building techniques, shifting from adobe, which was used prior. Families lived in kivas, which were circular. Right here, these are kivas. They were circular subterranean rooms and wooden beams that normally had a roof held up by 6-gauge support columns made of masonry above a shelf-like banquet. So this would normally have a roof on it, but I'm pretty sure now most of the roofs are like just gone. They, I don't know, deteriorated or whatever. And so it allows us to actually get a better picture. So they also included a fire pit, a ventilation shaft, and a sipapu, which was a small hole in the floor that is used for ceremonial purposes. They developed this from the pit house, which was also a circular subterranean room used as a living space. Kivas today are still used for ceremonies, but not the ones in the national park. Outside the pit house, so like this area, or outside the kiva, I guess, this area, was used as like a plaza. It was called a plaza area. And around the plaza was connected rooms forming the house units. And this, on one of the house units would normally face inward, and that would be the family gathering area called the hearth. Some buildings had circular towers like this, but we don't know the purpose, so when you're up there, you're gonna need food and water. So on top of the cliffs, like up here, the plateaus house farms and water storages for them to live. But you're gonna run out eventually, and so these dwellings were eventually abandoned. That's why they were only around for 100 years, because they probably ran out of water and other resources, but the true abandonment reason is unknown.